Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. So, we're approaching 50K again, and we actually did top out at 49.7, then we got rejected back to 46. Now, my opinion for the next few days is probably the altcoins are continuing to inch up a little bit, while Bitcoin kind of stays stable or goes up to 49. I do think that 50K is a major resistance point. I know that might not be what the TA says, but so far, what I've recognized in this market is the 5 and 10 marks, 25, 30, 35, 40. Those marks, especially the 10 marks at like 30, 40, 50,000, have been much bigger resistance marks than any marks that TA has actually shown, because those are big psychological marks. And 50,000, I think, should be even bigger than like 30 or 40,000 because, it's half of 100,000, and there's probably quite a few sell orders lined up for 50,000. So I think we're going to have to tackle it a couple of times before we actually break it. Now, we might actually break 50,000 into like 50,100, 50,200 before going back down into the 40,000s. There is a small chance that we'll retrace all the way back to 40,000, but if you actually look at analysts, they're not worried about 40,000 at all because they actually believe it's actually going to come up. If it does retrace to 40,000 or less, that's good because that gives you more time to actually load up on both Bitcoin and alts. When Bitcoin goes down, alts will definitely go down with it. And at that time, it's good to load up on both because it will shoot above 50,000 sometime. I still believe in 100,000 plus by the end of the year. I can believe in 200,000 or 300,000 now by the end of the year because of all like the banks and everything coming in. And Wall Street banks today on CNBC are actually feeling pressure to come into Bitcoin. If they come in, it can go very, very high. But still, I still think 50,000 will probably need to be attacked at least like 4 or 5 times, kind of like 40,000 was before we finally crack it. It won't be an easy resistance to crack, in my opinion. And I think alts are going to be limited by Bitcoin's price. BCH, I actually see quite a bit of potential because BCH really hasn't pumped up until now. And it can pump in line with Bitcoin. I do expect BCH to be above $1,000 sooner or later. As for ADA, I still expect above $1. DOT, it'll be above 30 sooner or later, very soon. So the thing is, I think we might actually stall at about 50,000 for at least a few weeks or a month. But then when we go past it, we'll be in price discovery mode again. And we could actually go from 55 to 60,000 fairly quickly. Like the projection right now for the pattern is like going from 20 to 30,000 is actually like very quickly, but actually breaking 30,000 has actually taken a while. Same thing for 30 to 40,000. Going from 30 to 40 has been fairly quick, but actually breaking the barrier of 40 was quite a task and it took a couple of weeks. Now going from 40 to 50 hasn't been that long, but breaking 50,000 will actually be, I think, even harder than breaking 40,000. We will eventually do it because I do believe the institutional investment is much, much stronger than 50,000, especially with Tesla coming in and some of the other companies actually coming in. MicroStrategy and Grayscale doubling down more, and now more hedge funds and other funds are actually getting into Bitcoin. And I don't know if too many of them are actually shorting. I think people overall are actually really, really bullish on Bitcoin. And also, more firms are actually interested in Ethereum now because Grayscale just bought a ton of Ethereum. So you actually might see Ethereum going up because of institutional buying as well. I personally think Ethereum's bottom, probably, unless Bitcoin really tanks, it probably won't dip below 1,500 at this point. And that's actually a pretty high minimum. And it won't do that because like institutions are starting to buy Ethereum now, so there's always going to be buying pressure on ETH as well. Now, the upside is going to be capped a bit by the gas fees because I do think that other protocols are going to start taking a chunk of Ethereum's business because I know there's layer 2 with Matic, but layer 2 adoption seems to be very, very slow. Vitalik is essentially begging people to adopt layer 2, and that just doesn't like come off as a good look for me. So like these blockchains that are ready to come up like Cardano and DOT, I think they will actually take a part of the pie. Now, I wouldn't sleep on like ZIL or Tezos either. Those are actually ready to go as well. Also, cross-chain things, cross-chain interoperability will be actually a big thing. VET, if it gets that whole like VET 80 ERC20 thing, could actually be pretty big. So keep a close watch on other blockchains, especially with like the ERC20 converter and everything else. Also keep a very, very close eye on DeFi, and especially DeFi like Refinance or PolkaSwap, because I do believe like since DeFi is very, very big, the thing is like if any of these ecosystems takes off, the exchange coin from that particular ecosystem will actually be pretty big. And that goes for PancakeSwap too, which I think has massive, massive potential. NFTs wise, I believe NFTs are going to still be soaring in price for a while, but not so much, maybe not for the protocol, but for the NFTs themselves. I think the fad will continue for a couple more months probably, and then people will realize that they just have pieces of like artwork that are stick figures, and they may not be worth quite as much, but there could be still time for you to capitalize on. And if it wasn't for the ridiculous amount of ETH fees that actually it takes to mint an NFT, I might actually try to mint a couple of them. Because I know on some of those ETF sites, it takes hundreds of dollars worth of Ethereum just to mint an NFT. And I think actually like some of these other protocols coming up might actually cheapen NFTs because it won't cost nearly, it might only cost $1 or $2 to actually mint an NFT on like Cardano because the gas fees aren't so high. So that's really something to look on NFTs. I think they'll become a lot more prevalent. I do think they'll move on to other platforms, but because the gas fees will go down, and except for like the first couple of NFTs minted on these platforms, they might go down in price because it doesn't cost that much to mint, a couple of bucks. So the overall market will maybe diluted for them in a couple of months. So these couple of months may be the real time you have to profit in on these like specialized NFTs that could be worth thousands of dollars. So that's my market report for today. I do think once if you're swing trading, I do think that when you get a near 50,000 or maybe even slightly over 50,000, swing trade maybe 20-30% of the stack, and then wait for it to drop and see what actually happens then. Because I do think it'll take a little while for us to go past 50,000. We've already been waiting for like 1 or 2 weeks, I think. And I think it'll take probably like 2 or 3 more weeks before we pop past 50,000 and head for the moon. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think, like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.